A 94-year-old man has been barred from his own family grave by a council who says it's too small by half an inch. Campbell Mullholland from Bangor, County Down, Northern Ireland, died on February 2nd, and expected to be buried with his wife and infant son when his time came. But his niece Donna Cole was told 24 hours before the funeral he was not allowed to be placed in the family plot in Clandeboyne Cemetery. Donna told Belfast Live, at 9:30 a.m. on the day before my uncle's burial, the funeral home called to say the council had barred him from the. We've had no contact from the council. They abandoned the funeral home to that. I couldn't believe what we were hearing. My uncle was a man of absolute integrity. He looked after his friends and family, worked as a milkman all his days and asked nothing. He was devoted to his wife Peggy, and together they bought a family plot when their son Kenneth tragically died aged just 5 months in 1960. It must just have broken their hearts. When Peggy died in 2003, she was buried in the family plot with Kenneth, and Campbell expected to be. So to think of him now separated from them is indescribable. Campbell kept Peggy's slippers by their bed from the day she died. Her perfumes and all her little bits and bobs remained in place in their bedroom for the last 8. He got comfort from the fact they'd be buried together, but now Hess not allowed to be anywhere near her, or there's Hess lying alone in a coffin in a morgue. It's undignified, unfair and unnecessary. When Mr Mulholland bought the family plot following his baby's death in 1967, the grave was intended to hold 4 coffins, but burial regulations introduced in 1992 now require 6 feet between coffins and 28 inches above the final coffin in the grave. An official at Ards in North Down Borough Council said Mr Mulholland's grave only allowed for another 3 feet 9 inches, and a coffin measuring 15 inches would not adhere to regular. Donna said, Clarke's funeral service offered to try to get a coffin that measured 5 inches with the hope that my uncle would fit in it. But the council says it would have to be 11 inches to stay within the rules, meaning we're fighting over half an inch. The funeral home asked for an extra half inch to be dug out of the grave and left on top of the grave to settle, but the council, my uncle's wishes, intentions and the contract he had for burial have all. He paid for his funeral in full in 2012, 20 years after the new regulations, and no one told him that there was a chance he'd be barred from his own grave. Where has humanity gone in Northern Ireland? What has happened that an old gentleman cannot be buried in his grave with his wife and baby for the sake of half an inch of soil? It's my uncle paid in full for his own funeral service, including everything from the flowers to the orders of. He liked order and good sense, and in the final moment of his life on this earth he has been subjected to disorder and very poor decision. My uncle was taken back to the morgue after his funeral service and remains there on. A spokeswoman for Ards and North Down Council said, all councils in Northern Ireland are bound by the burial ground regulations, Northern Ireland, 1992, which details strict guidance in terms of the functions of a council in relation to its burial. Regrettably, by law we do not have any leeway around this legislation, and as such must abide by these regulations. At the time of purchase, council graves are not sold with a guaranteed occupancy, as ground conditions vary in cemeteries, and we cannot always confirm that a grave can accommodate a further coffin without testing for depth. We offer a depth testing service which can be requested at any time by a grave owner, for which a charge is applied, £110, to provide greater reassurance prior to a family member passing should grave owners wish to avail. In terms of direct contact between the family and the council, it is standard practice for a funeral director to liaise between the council and the family about all matters connected to this includes communicating any issues to the family. We are of course willing to communicate with families if contacted directly by them. We accept that incidents such as this are distressing for families at what is already a difficult time. However, we will always do our utmost to try to find a solution that the family can accept.